This episode of the Sarah Carter Podcast is sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Never forget, join the Tunnel to Towers Foundation on its mission to do good in honor of America's heroes. Donate $11 a month at t2t.org. That's T, the number 2, T.org.
That's right. Great organization, great sponsor of the Sarah Carter Show. Remember, you can get all of our stories at saracarter.com. That's saracarter.com. And while you're there, please sign up for our email. It's very important. If you want to stay in communication, we've got to just be able to communicate directly with one another. We know what Facebook, Twitter, and everybody else are doing, and you do not want to get shadow banned. You guys, I have a great and a very special show today. I have two very dear friends and two very important people with a very unique perspective on what happened in Afghanistan and what is happening, I would say, internationally with the decisions that President Joe Biden and his administration made to have this hasty withdrawal that has led to the death of so many people and abandoned Americans and allies alike. You do not want to miss this. I have former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Middle East Policy, Simone Ledeen, on the show. She oversaw Middle East policy for 15 nations from Egypt to Kuwait. She's also a senior fellow at the Gold Institute for International Strategy. And she's going to go into details about Afghanistan because she was there. She was there like I was. Simone was there, but Simone was working on the other side. Like she was focused. She was in the military. She was focused on what was happening on the ground there. And last but not least, and he's going to be in our discussion with Simone, and he's going to tell you how his family is handling this in Afghanistan, but is a great hero and a great friend of mine, an ally of the United States who General John Allen actually got here to this country in 2013. It is Saber Nasseri. He is the CEO now of Afghanistan American Relations Office, and he's a former NATO subject matter expert on Afghanistan, and he was taken by the Taliban. He is going to go into that story, and he is going to talk to you about what needs to happen now in Afghanistan and the direct threat that his family was under and is under right now. Remember, Saber Rock actually had a $300,000 dead or alive over his head in Afghanistan by the Taliban. He is still wanted by the Taliban, and that's why they have been focused on his family. So we need to give him all the support we can give. Now is a critical time to be vigilant in the defense of our freedom. There is no better way to do so than by joining the Association of Mature American Citizens. AMAC believes in fighting the good fight against reckless government spending and the ever-expanding scope of the federal government. Guys, we need to stand up against this. This is the reason we're in the mess we're in today, right? Because we have a bureaucracy that is out of control and a federal government that wants us to be a nanny state. We need to stand up to that. You will do that by joining AMAC. We'll be taking the first steps to saving the America that you love. AMAC offers an alternative to just about every benefit that AARP offers, but guess what? Without that liberal agenda. I stand with AMAC, and I hope that you will too. I encourage you to join today at amac.us/Carter. That's amac.us/Carter. The benefits of membership are great, but the cause is even greater. Join today at amac.us/Carter. Okay, without any further delay, I've got the amazing Simone Ledeen. Not only is she my friend, she's been on the show before, but she's the former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Middle East Policy. And of course, my brother in arms here, Saber Nasseri, right? I don't want to say it wrong, but I pronounce it different every time, Saber. But I just say Saber Rock. And the reason I have you both here today is this has been a very emotional week for so many of us. Just so you all know out there, Simone has been working diligently to try to get people, interpreters and experts from Afghanistan that were our allies, people who served our nation with loyalty and dignity on the battlefield, served their nation out of Afghanistan and to the U.S. And obviously, we've seen what's happened under the Biden administration. And Saber, of course, whatever you can talk about, you know, your family is still under threat right now in Afghanistan. So we have to be very careful of what we talk about when it comes to Saber's family there. But Thank you both for being a part of the Sarah Carter Show. I'm going to start with Simone really quick, Saber, just because I kind of want you to lay out, Simone, like the great work you've been doing. You were here before. She was actually begging to draw attention to our allies in Afghanistan in an attempt to try to get people out even before this all started to crumble with the Biden administration. What are your feelings, Simone, about what's been happening?
Well, first of all, thank you, Sarah, for having me on. And I think you neglected to mention the incredible behind the scenes work that you've been doing to try to help get people out, people who are under threat, people that we know that are part of risk groups or who were translators. Um, it has been a really emotional period. I truly don't feel like I've done very much, in my living room with my cell phone. I've been making connections between people who need help and people who could possibly provide that help. That's really all that I can do. And for everyone that I've maybe managed to connect with someone who could maybe help them, I would say there's probably 10 more who I just don't know what to tell them. And it's really hard, especially as someone who I did almost 2 years combined of tours in Afghanistan. I made so many friendships, and it's a beautiful country with wonderful people. And just to see the collapse like this, a lot of these humanitarian things were somewhat preventable. It's been tough. It's been really tough.
It's been very tough. I'm going to go right to you, Saber. I know we don't have a lot of time with you. Simone, you've done amazing work. You've been able to actually get folks out. I know you're like me. We feel like helpless, right, Saber? We're sitting here. Same with you, talking to your family, trying to figure out where they're at, praying and hoping that they do not get targeted by the Taliban. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Thank you very much, Ms. Sara, for having me here. And also, Ms. Simone, thank you for your service and support and help. On behalf of all Afghan Americans and Afghan in Afghanistan, I want to say thank you, Ms. Simone. Yes, my family, they are in Afghanistan right now, and they moved from one location to another, and they are targeting, because the Taliban, they put a $300,000 bounty on my head before when I was in a Marine in the front line, and they still keep that bounty, and they try to catch them, but I'm day night, it become 3 weeks that I'm working with them, with my family, and I try to relocate it, and I try to destroy the plan of Taliban, which is I know the Taliban plan, and I'm taking over plan and over plan.
That's why, Saber, no one can really, people are listening to this. This is a podcast, of course. You have been through an extraordinary ordeal in your life. You have beautiful children, a beautiful wife. General John Allen fought for you to come to the United States.
Correct.
You have sacrificed a great deal. Just right now, if you're looking, right now, I'm my friend, I love your hands. I love your hands. I know what happened. Talk a little bit about what happened to you and how the Taliban targeted you. So there's a $300,000 bounty. It's still on Saber Rock Nasseri's head. On the Taliban is going after his family. You lost a cousin.
Correct.
Your cousin was beheaded, I believe, by the Taliban recently.
North of Afghanistan.
North of Afghanistan.
Yes, I was an English language teacher before, and from 2001 to 2004, and I was very young. And then 2004, I joined with Marines, and my mom advised, which is she is on the way, she's coming. She said, make sure you support the United States and you support the human being. And I joined for U.S. Marine Corps as a cultural advisor and interpreter for a few years. And then the Marine, they saw that I have a good service. They select me as a subject matter expert for the front line. And I was running the radio show also with Mark DeVito. And I had the same as you and playing radio in Sangin province. That was a dangerous place. And I was teaching and sending message of America to the local people of Afghanistan.
So you really put yourself out there. He was, Simone, he was very exposed, and a lot of a lot of the Afghan translators, interpreters, teachers, subject matter experts, you're very educated. You speak 5 languages.
Correct.
Saber,
Correct.
I mean, you're a highly educated man. You really put yourself on the front line. Does it tear you apart to see what's happening to Afghanistan right now?
Right now, the university that I graduated from Political Science University in Afghanistan, and they took that university. They make a checkpoint there, which is it's hurting. And also, right now, the Taliban they're knocking doors and they're searching door by door to grab those people that they serve for U.S. government.
What are you hearing right now on the ground? Are they executing people, as I've seen in some of these videos? I know that that's happening, but are they systemically executing people that have worked for the U.S.?
Correct. I just received a message: 600, security guard that they took security of U.S. Embassy in Kabul. They still hiding in Kabul. And Mr. Joe Biden brought the wrong people. A lot of wrong people they came. The right people means like the SIV people, those people that they work for U.S. government, they're American allies. They still remain in Afghanistan, and we are working together. And I just call them and talk with them, and I have representative every location of Kabul that stay there, America. They will not forget you. On behalf of you, because I'm a U.S. citizen and I'm proud that I'm American, and I respect all presidents because they're Americans. But Mr. Joe Biden, he broke my heart. He broke the people of Afghanistan heart. A majority of people and Joe Biden disappointed. Mr. Joe Biden disappointed the world, not just Afghanistan, disappointed the world.
Do you feel that he emboldened the Taliban? Because this is what is so distressing for me. And I know you don't have a lot of time, and I want to go back to what you're saying because I know it's important for you to get this message out. He emboldened Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, Islamic State. I mean, these radical leftists. And you said something that was very important. I mean, these radical terrorists. You said something that was very important to me the other day. You said, Sara, I don't want the American people to think that we are that way.
Correct.
That Afghans are that way. We are not that way.
Correct.
Talk about that.
I'm fighting for United States still. Look, right now, the Taliban, last night, they attack on Panjshir province. 2,000 Taliban, they attack on Panjshir province. And Panjshir, Northern Lion, they call them lion. They eat 2,000 people like a carrot. Just the Taliban, they disappeared. And I have
like a carrot. That.
And the solution I have for United States, I have a solution. For Joe Biden, I have a solution. The solution is if he want to finish Taliban, if he want to be the power of Afghanistan, please support Northern Lion Mujahideen, Ahmad Massoud. You know Ahmad Shah Massoud.
Why do you think they never did? Of course, Massoud. I want to interview Massoud, and I'm hoping. And I'm going to bring in you because you're the policy expert, Simone, and you understand how this works. You've been to Afghanistan. Why didn't we finish off the Taliban? Why didn't we do the job that we went there to do? I mean, if it was to get rid of the Taliban or Al-Qaeda when it went right into, and I know I'm probably asking too much of you, but I feel that just what Saber's saying, I've talked to many Mujahideen. They said, we just did not do it. We did not allow them to finish off the Taliban. And now there's many more than what I think than when we entered in 2001.
When Ms. Simone finish, I will answer you why.
Okay.
Well, let's see if we agree. My short answer to that is Pakistan and Pakistan's ISI, the intelligence service, which harbored the Taliban. A lot of both of you obviously are very familiar with the Taliban fighting season during the warm months, and then when it gets cold, they go back to Pakistan. That's been the case for many, many years. And there was a policy decision years ago not to pursue the Taliban into Pakistan. And so this is a problem that festered. Fast forward, the Taliban leadership, some of whom actually were at Guantanamo Bay, were allowed to go to Qatar and set up a leadership office in Qatar where we began negotiations and discussions with them.
Why weren't we negotiating with the Tajiks and the Panjiris? Why was it always negotiating with the Taliban that are terrorists?
Correct.
I never got that.
Who is the power of Afghanistan? Mujahideen, Tajik. Who is majority people of Afghanistan? Tajik, not Pashtun. Pashtun lied to American. Pashtun create the problem for. I'm not against Pashtun. I love Pashtun. We have a good Pashtun. But the manager that Mr. Joe Biden, Barack Obama, and also the other former president of Afghanistan that they select, Ahmed Karzai, Ashraf Ghani, the manager was not good. If I have a restaurant, I will never hire President Ghani or Karzai as a dishwasher because they don't have management of Afghanistan.
I love that. I would never hire Ghani or Karzai as a dishwasher. No, they weren't dishwashers. They literally washed all of our money, right, Simone? And I mean, they literally fled with hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars just wasted.
Correct.
It never went to the people.
Correct. The people, they said, where is the money? Everybody, they have it. Right now, I have a lot of families in Afghanistan, Afghan families, that they don't have bread, they don't have sugar to eat tea with the bread from 20 years till present. Why? Because Ashraf Ghani is our manager. Manager means like
the guy who was in charge.
Yeah, Ghani said, I have support of America. I don't care about the people. Right. They mentioned to his team, President Ghani was a minister, was admin minister, was a mayor, was a governor, everybody. He didn't let anybody to take the power. He said, I'm 101, means I can control everything, that's wrong. The president cannot do that. He need to hire, he need to have delegation.
Do you think that we should just, I mean, Simone, just asking for, because I'm listening. I mean, look, I know that all of you out there that are listening to Saber now are saying, oh my gosh, this guy's just like every single one of us, right? He's got a family. He fought for his country. He's an American. He's fighting for America still. And even though his family's in direct threat, he still says, you know what? Biden's my president. I'm just asking him, why did you do this to me? Right? He's an American. But
absolutely.
Simone, what do we do?
Sarah, lucky us.
Yeah. Thank God for us. Yeah. Thank God for us.
Well, right? I'm so happy, that he's American and, fighting with us. I think, if I can just add one other point, which is, the Taliban are being treated like a political party, which is very bizarre, I think, to us. But I think part of the reason, aside from the fact that the Taliban are still a designated terrorist organization under the U.S. Treasury Department and the United Nations, they're really a fundamentalist cult. It's a cult of religious fundamentalists. They're not a political party. They're not committed to rules. They're not committed to morality. And so this whole discussion about where we're treating them like a newly, ascendant political party is bananas. I mean, it makes no sense. And it negates all of the decades of history that we have with them.
Okay,
right.
Yes, you're right, Ms. Simone, but we have solution for that. The Taliban, we won the war. America won the war. They lost the one war. Just we gave them $1 billion. We left our German Shepherd in the airport. Why you guys, why we as American, why we run away? We have to extend it for 2-3 days or 5 days or 1 week or 1 month. We can take our ammunition, we can take our weapons. We lost and we handed $1 million ammunition and weapon to the Taliban. $1 million box. I have the proof. We left it in the airport. Everybody saw that. Why?
Why did we do that, Simone? Is someone going to... I know you have a suspicion,
and Mr. Joe Biden.
We should ask. I mean, shouldn't we have hearings? Shouldn't we find out?
We should have hearings. We should have hearings. Why did we do this? What arrangements have been made behind the scenes that this happened? That's my question.
I tried to go back to Afghanistan the other day, like 4 or 5 days ago. I said, I want to go. I want to bring the money back. I want to bring the weapon back. I want to bring all ammunition back. Look, I'm one Afghan American. I try to take revenge of United States. We lost 6,600 soldiers in Afghanistan. The Taliban, they killed 6,600 soldiers in Afghanistan. Now we are begging Taliban. We are asking and begging Taliban, please, let's have a peace. Why?
You're right. It was 69,000, actually. I know what you're saying, but it was 69,000 plus Afghan soldiers that lost their lives fighting the battle. Over 2,300 American soldiers, or 2,400, right? Americans, over 20,000 wounded American soldiers like Saber, who lost, by the way, how many fingers did the Taliban cut off your hand?
I lost 5 fingers in the war. I lost 3.5 kilogram meat gone from my body. I still fighting for United States. I still supporting this country, and I still going to the war. If America want me to go to the war and fight against Taliban, I'm a one person. I can go. At least I can kill 10 Taliban. At least I can kill 20 Taliban. I don't have any problem. I want to save this country.
Okay, this is why I would be, Simone, this is why Saber would go into foxhole with me and my husband. Like, my husband's like, wait a minute. We were talking about the people on the ground. Simone and I were talking about this too. And Marty literally had tears in his eyes the other night. You know my husband.
Yes.
And my husband was so frustrated listening to what we left behind, listening to the fact that we left Blackhawks and ammunition and especially our Americans and our allies, that tears were rolling from his eyes. And he said to me, and I won't say the name of this person, but there was an Afghan man on the ground that saved a lot of lives. And he would cut through the Taliban line and take people on to Kia, take people on to Kabul International Airport. And he did so for one young lady named Hannah, who's on her way now to the United States.
Correct.
15 minutes after she crossed through Abbey Gate, it blew. He did that. And my husband had tears in his eyes, and he said, that is an American. That's the kind of guy that I want in this country. The guy like Saber, the guy like, I can't say his name because I'm scared. You know, I don't know if he's still alive. I haven't gotten confirmation yet. But that guy, the guy that's willing to cross through enemy lines and bring back that person. That's what Saber is. When you guys hear him talk, this man has seen everything. He has lost his fingers. He almost lost his life. He has been through hell and back. I know he is strong right now and smiling, but I have seen you, Saber. I've seen you break down. I have seen these strong men just break down. And I've got to ask, I'm going to stand up for them. Why did we do that? Simone, you and I just, we've been just brainstorming over this. Like, how do we leave all of this behind? How do we do this to our war heroes?
And a million Afghans that they're from Panjshir, they're from Northern Line. They said, we need one voice from America. If America said, Northern Line people, eat the Taliban, just give us 30 days. We will eat all Taliban in 30 days. We have support in Afghanistan. We still have support. Russia.
And let me explain, when he says eat all the Taliban, they won't really eat them. I'm just throwing that out there. I just wanted to give a little break here for a moment.
Sure.
But no, it's because the Masood was considered the Panjshir lion. This is the history. The great Masood, his son is now fighting. He's the commander. He's the young Masood. He is out there on the front lines fighting in Panjshir when he could be in London relaxing and drinking tea, right?
Correct.
Instead, he's in Panjshir fighting the Taliban. And when they talk about eating the Taliban, it's about the lion.
Exactly.
The lion that eats the enemy. That's what this is about.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
So, Simone, you spent all those years there. You worked with some amazing generals and people. And by the way, you're amazing. Your focus and what you know about, extremist groups is incredible. What do we do from here on out? I mean, is it just a wash with this administration? I mean, are we just going to have to wait for another administration? By the way, Saber's going to be leaving. Saber, say your final words.
Okay, I just want to say one word to Mr. Joe Biden. We are, as an Afghan American, if you're not using anybody, we are, as an Afghan American, are with you, with United States. Let's go back, or let's change the policy, or let's support innocent people. Otherwise, God is watching. One day we will die. After 20 years, we will die. Then what's your answer for God?
Right, exactly.
That's
and
it. What's your answer for God?
And not only that, what about if something happens to us? Will we be abandoned?
Yes, it is very dangerous for United States.
Right.
We have to finish the virus. Thank you very much for having me, Miss Simone, Miss Sara. Thank you. God bless. God bless America.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Saber, for being so brave and honest and straightforward with us. This is a man who's a real hero and someone who's a great friend of mine and a great friend of America's. You know, Simone Ledeen is still with us. She is going to get into the nuts and bolts of it all. I mean, especially, you do not want to miss this. She has spent a lot of time there. She worked with some of our top commanders. She's going to talk to you about what happened under General Stanley McChrystal, and remember that whole debacle, and why this is Joe Biden's fault. Why President Biden made this decision. We shouldn't just let him push it off on Lloyd Austin or push it off on General Milley. This is about President Biden taking responsibility for what he did. Guys, there's nothing better than slipping into bed with soft, comfortable sheets at the end of a long day. You know what I'm talking about. Now MyPillow wants you to sleep better with their Giza Dream Sheets. Made from the world's best cotton, the Giza Dream Sheet sateen weave gives them, I'm not even joking, I'm telling you, this is all I own right now, a luxurious finish that will leave you sleeping like a dream. For a limited time, you can save up to 50% on Giza Dream Sheets and My Slippers. Love those too. Go to mypillow.com, click Radio Listener Square, and use the promo code Carter at checkout. Don't forget, use the promo code Carter at checkout or call 1-800-685-7221 to get the Giza Dream Sheets for as low as, listen to this, $49.99. You'll also find deep discounts on all MyPillow products, including the Pillow Mattress Topper, MyPillow towel sets, and so much more, like the dog beds. All my dogs love their MyPillow dog beds. Don't miss the sale of the year. That's mypillow.com, promo code Carter, or call 1-800-685-7221. Sleep better with mypillow.com. Okay, Simone, isn't Saber great? Wasn't he great?
He's amazing.
He's a good man. And I'm sure, like so many of our friends, he's just like so many of our friends and allies, right? In Afghanistan, people that we've worked with.
He reminds me of someone that I worked with on my first tour in Afghanistan, who unfortunately got killed many years ago now. But that same spirit, that same amazing heart is very it's very inspirational.
Right. It's just like, it's really hard for me to comprehend when I heard Kirby, is it Admiral Kirby now at the, Pentagon spokesman, say basically, well, there's a lot of stranded Americans in different places, like making excuses or, this is just kind of what happens. I don't think this represents us at all, how we left Afghanistan. I think it shames us before the world.
I agree. I definitely have felt a lot of shame during this period. I think a lot of veterans have felt a lot of shame and anger because it doesn't represent who we are as a nation. It doesn't represent what we went to Afghanistan to accomplish. It does not honor the sacrifices of our Gold Star families,
Right.
their family members who died there, who gave their lives for this, and also, our veterans and our veterans' families, people, Sara, like you and your husband, who have also given so much. It is a dishonor to all of them, let alone the Americans that we've left behind. There were plenty who did want to leave, who do want to leave, and are now scrambling. And Afghans who went through the visa process they were told to go through and have been left in favor of people who had no visas.
Which is so insane. That's what Saber was saying. Look, I remember telling you when you and I were talking on the phone and then when we were chatting in person, but how you know, a lot of the Afghans that I knew that actually did make, the few that did make it out, were saying like, wait a minute, I was in Doha or I was in this stop, and the people that were around me were people that didn't have any identification, that appeared to be loosely connected, maybe affiliated with, you know, some family. Others bribed their way through NDS. This is what I was told, through the National Directorate of Security. So those people that were working the lines with the Taliban, NDS people that switched up and joined Taliban, were just taking bribes. And the people that they were letting through were the Pashtun guys that they knew from their villages, or, you know, or whoever had money. So a lot of our allies were just like where we are right now, on the phone with them, you know. And by the way, you do a lot from your living room. I did a lot from my kitchen. We were like, you know, because we had to stay up day and night to get these lists put together, to talk to people, to manage their expectations, which was so horrific and hard. And there's still people there. I mean, Saber, the majority of Saber's family is still on the run. People that I love, that I want out, are still on the run. And Americans, we know from the very beginning, Simone, let's just be straight up. I mean, we have before, they were just left at the gates. The gates were just shut on their face.
And that was one of the things that has been so bizarre, is why the government knew that there were Americans outside of, you know, gate X, gate Y. Why did they never come? Some of them were there for hours and hours and hours. Why did no one ever come and open those gates? It just doesn't make any sense.
And every single one of us that was aware of this, that was in communication with some of these Americans, were pushing this message all the way up to the top channels. But they would not open the gate. And no one's answered that question. No one has answered why Americans were left out. What do you think is going to happen from here on out, Simone? I mean,
well, one of two things. You know, what I hope and what I support is a full accountability for what happened. Right. I think that we as a nation need that. I think there are big question marks and very murky scenarios that need to be clarified. And I think, like, I hope that we all, and your listeners as well, I mean, we all push for that with our members of Congress and in the media and every way that we can, because, you know, first and foremost, the administration's going to want to sweep all this under the rug. You know, right. They probably think, oh, you know, this is the last time Afghanistan will ever be a headline again. Well, I hope not. And I hope, you know, we all need some accountability. You know, what about the families of those 13 service members who were just killed? A lot of them feel like that wasn't necessary. I don't want to speak for them, certainly, you know, but some of the family members have issued statements or, you know, posted on social media saying this. So I just think they deserve the truth. We deserve the truth. The Americans left behind deserve the truth. And I hope that, you know, that's what happens. We all need to push for that.
Well, it makes us look so weak. And I agree with you completely. And by the way, the 170 people, including children and women, who were at Abbey Gate, standing in that horrible murky water all day as I was talking to people moving in and out of that gate, they deserve the truth. They lost their lives as well. And, you know, and it's just it was a nightmare all the way around. But you know a lot about national security and how this reflects on us on a global scale. I mean, is detrimental, I think, because what does China think? I mean, they must think like, oh, well, we can just like walk right into Taiwan and click, and we won't even they won't even budge. I mean, people have to see us as weak right now. Even Al-Qaeda, you said, I hope we don't forget this. I hope we don't forget this either, because honestly, I fear that we will be facing another attack, a very severe attack in this country, because we've emboldened Al-Qaeda and we've emboldened ISIS. I'm not as worried about the Taliban here. I'm worried about the Taliban providing training camps again and a safe haven for those guys. But I don't know. You go ahead and tell me what you think.
Well, a couple of things there. So, first of all, yes, we don't look weak. We are weak. And maybe we look weak because we are weak. We don't have, we don't have strong leadership, to state the obvious. And our leadership is refusing to take accountability for any of the number of bad decisions that were just executed. But the Taliban have come out and said our biggest partner is China. China has come out with a big map about, the One Belt, One Road, Afghanistan, which is basically the new Silk Road, which is basically providing them access to rare earth materials that they need to continue their, goal of conquest and domination. So, and when I say they, it's the Chinese Communist Party that runs the country.
And they've been there for some time, Simone. Remember, they tried to move into Logar province, and they did with their mining in Logar and in other areas. And, I mean, are we just going to wake up one day to a completely different world because I don't know, our government, our bureaucracy just believes that nothing's ever going to happen to us? What's going on here?
I can't really hypothesize as to what their decision making is, but it's clear that they were aware of this, that this would be the outcome, the likely outcome, and it didn't bother them. So whatever the reason for that, I can't speculate, but that's, I think, part of the series of questions that have to be asked, because in my opinion, it's un-American to enable this and to allow it to happen. In addition to the Taliban, being the kind of taking over Afghanistan. We'll see how successful they are at governance. Not that it really matters, but they have so much U.S. military equipment, and some of it I'm sure they'll retain, but a lot of it I'm sure they're going to sell, and they're going to sell it to our enemies who want it. It's going to be used for photo ops. It's going to be used for psychological operations against us, which are underway now and have been extremely effective. So, this is the reason why all of us are deeply depressed, because it's not just what happened already, but the future does not look bright. And between the increased threat of terrorist attacks and the longer the Al-Qaeda and ISIS have access to a country where they can train and plan operations, which there's every indication they plan to do. The more dangerous the world is, not just here in the United States, but also Europe. I mean, our partners, our NATO partners, were horrified that we left the way that we did. They also sacrificed, blood and treasure for all these years. And they were extremely, different countries had different levels of, I would say, commitment and activity. But there are a number of countries, our closest partners, who had really sacrificed and put a lot into the effort, just as we did, and have also come away with the same frustration. And they also blame us, because it was our decision to leave that forced them to leave, even though many of them did not want to, for this very reason.
Right. It was just as if we made this decision, like Joe Biden made it in a basement, like on the telephone with someone that we don't even know. And maybe he didn't even make that decision. It appears because let's just be frank. I mean, I can't judge, but he doesn't seem like he's that coherent half the time. And, so someone else is running the ship there, and the ship has a bunch of holes in it. And I guess, what is your worst fear? Because, my gosh, I feel there's this geopolitical shift for the first time in our nation's history that could be so significant. It might be so damaging. This is only the first 7 months, Simone.
I know.
We still have another 3 years and months.
God bless. I think, first of all, just to go back to something that you just said, I do think that President Biden made this decision. And the reason I think that is because on my second deployment to Afghanistan, I was there from 2009 to 2010, and I served at ISAF headquarters. I I knew, as we all did, those of us who worked there, that there was at the time when General McChrystal came in, and there was this big review that was going on about, what should we leave or should we surge? And obviously, the decision at that time ultimately was to surge. But the main dissenting voice was Joe Biden, was the vice president. He wanted to leave, and he was adamant, and he was very vocal about it. And he was, if you recall that whole scenario where General McChrystal ended up getting fired because of that article in Rolling Stone where someone on his staff said, "Biden, bite me." That was why. That was because Biden wanted to leave. And so I think, I think that it's important to say that Biden wanted to leave for the last 10 years and finally got his opportunity when he won election or when he became president.
Right. And I got to tell you, it's not even so much about the leaving, because I know President Trump wanted to leave too, and everybody keeps bringing that up, but it was a completely different scenario. There was a different plan of action. I personally disagreed with negotiating with the Taliban at any point in time. I just see them as a terrorist organization. I don't even see them as a legitimate government. They destroy human beings. They destroy human rights. They have no respect for anyone. They're amoral and they're cultish. I just don't even think we should have even given them that power, right? But let's say we leave. That was what happened. We didn't have to leave the way we did. We didn't have to do what we did. And I think that's what's killing that's what's the heartbreak. That's what's twisting everybody up into knots that has spent so much time there, was that it was like, well, yeah, hey, thanks a lot for the sacrifice, man. We're out of here. We're not even going to bother saving Americans. We're going to leave our military equipment behind. We're going to humiliate our nation in more ways than one. And I think for soldiers and for troops, Marines, airmen, soldiers, anybody who served over there, even in a civilian capacity, that was just like a kick in the teeth. As I wrap up here with you, what do you think, Simone, is the message that we need to take away from? I know it's early, but in all of this, but is there anything that we should take away from this? Is there anything that we can fight for to change this? What do we do?
Well, I think, just to reiterate a little bit, I think that we need to make sure that there is a full accountability for what happened, not just this exit, but how did we get to this point in Afghanistan? What happened? We had 20 years of generals saying things were going great and the Afghan National Army was strong and doing well. Why did it collapse so quickly after 20 years? What were the reasons for that? I think that after all of the blood and treasure that we've expended there, the American people need an answer, and we also need to understand so we don't do it again. We need to be honest with ourselves. But this has been a catastrophe, and I don't think it's over. I think it's like a rolling event that's still underway, and it's going to continue to play out in horrible and tragic ways in the future. I think videos, images. I shudder to think what we might be witness to in the future. But I do just encourage everybody, please press for accountability. It is so needed right now. There are so many questions that need to be answered, and do not let people in our leadership, in our government, sweep them under the rug. There needs to be a full accountability.
I couldn't agree with you more. You're so brilliant. Thank you so much, Simone, for being on the show. I hope you come back soon. And you're right. I do believe that you described it best. It's like a rolling situation that is not going to end, but will get worse. And for all of you out there, that may have thought like, oh, I just want it to be over. Believe me, Al-Qaeda Islamic State and the Taliban, they don't get that tired. They're not thinking this is over. They're just getting started. Thank you, Simone. It was great having Simone Ledeen on. I can't wait to get her back on again. Guys, the Federal Reserve admits inflation is increasing. So how do you protect your investments? With gold. With so many gold companies, how do you know who to trust or that you're even getting authentic rare coins and precious metals? That's easy. It's Universal Coin and Bullion. Visit universalcoin.com/Sara or call 1-800-UCB-GOLD. That's 1-800-UCB-GOLD to get no cost, no obligation gold info kit to easily protect and enjoy your rare coins and precious metals. Tell them Sara sent you. That's universalcoin.com/Sara or call 1-800-UCB-GOLD. So today was a show where I think I'm just, reflecting on that so much of my life changed because of Afghanistan. And, connecting with people that were there, it's kind of like, am I seeing things the right way? Are we understanding what really has happened here? Is it as bad as it seems? And guys, it's as bad as it seems. We are definitely not out of the woods. The way President Biden left Afghanistan, how he left all of those tens of millions of dollars in equipment, how the Chinese, the Russians, and our adversaries are going to take advantage of this moment, and how our allies feel deserted is nothing that we should ignore. Just like Simone Ledeen said, just as Saber said, we need to continue to fight this fight. We can't get exhausted. Al-Qaeda is not exhausted. ISIS is not exhausted. And you know what? Our men and women in service are not exhausted. They signed up to fight the fight. Believe me, I know. I'm married to one. And allies like Saber and people like the Mujahideen right now in the Panjshir Valley, and Masood, the young Masood who's fighting the Taliban, who's fighting ISIS, who's fighting Al-Qaeda. Remember that those fighters are fighting them there so that we don't have to fight them here. And whenever you tell yourself that you're tired, that you're done, that you're tired of this war in Afghanistan, or you change a channel because you don't want to hear it anymore, for many of you, you never have been there. Many of you don't even have a relative that's in that fight. Many of you don't even realize it's going on, and it's not your fault. We're too busy with our everyday, daily lives. These are the people that are fighting the fight over there, our intelligence agents, our military apparatus, government officials, and our allies, and the agents that work for us on our intelligence side. They're doing that so you can be free. They're doing that so your children don't have to fear getting on a plane. They're doing that so you don't have to fear getting on a plane or walking in a building or going to the mall. Because believe me, Al-Qaeda is emboldened now. ISIS is emboldened. We cannot get tired now. We have to get stronger, and we have to let them know and let our lawmakers know that they're not going to get away with this, that we're going to continue to fight the fight, and that we're going to protect our country, and that we're going to stand up to tyranny, and that for those of you who took advantage of this situation and lined your pockets with the blood of our soldiers and our allies, that you will be exposed and you will pay the price for that. You will pay the price for that one way or another. Remember, it doesn't end here at the Sara Carter Show. This is where we're taking the story back. We're not afraid to tell the truth, and we'll continue to tell that truth to you until you guys can't hear us anymore. I love you. I love this nation. God bless America, and God bless you.
Today, I'm joined by Rebecca Weber, the CEO of the Association for Mature American Citizens.
It's also known as AMAC. Can you share a little bit with the audience about your father, Dan Weber, and how he founded AMAC and why?
My father formed AMAC after he recognized that the AARP really was not representing his values, and those values were really faith, family, and freedom. And my father believed in America's greatness. He believed that there was what he described as a cultural shift occurring in our country. He thought that the very, very foundation, the Constitution, was being disregarded. And we saw that the power of government was growing and individual freedoms were diminishing, were being threatened. And to get more specific was in 2006 when he said to me that he was canceling his AARP membership. And I said to my father, why would you do that? And he said, well, they've just named Harry Belafonte Man of the Year. And he went on to say that Harry Belafonte had commented to Hugo Chavez saying that George W. Bush was the greatest terrorist threat in America. And my father said something is wrong with that. So he saw the AARP make this sharp left turn. And that was when he said, let's form AMAC. And I said, let's do it.
Rebecca, thanks so much for being with me today. I'm honored to have you and AMAC as a sponsor for the Sara Carter Show. For more information, folks, visit amac.us/Carter.